So this past weekend with the whole Covington High School students incident with the MAGA hat people, the assault smirk as it has been termed, going after the whole thing with the interaction with the Native American, let's call it that, that this has provided an excellent case study in calls for violence, in people that will violently attack and hate innocent people. Like, that's the whole thing. The whole thing is about stopping hate now. Like, why is there so much hate? Why can't we all get along? Why is there so much divisiveness and anger and hatred against people? And this is it right here. This is an explanation why. This is a case study into how this happens. This isn't the only way it happens, but it's one of the biggest ways. And you'll see this is why people were mad at, this is why people were so angry with the media. Because as we later found out, there's more to the story. In the story I'm referring to is the MAGA hat people harassing this Native American guy, just playing his drums, whatever. Turns out that when you learn more about the story, it was all fake. It was all fake news. The story that they so-called harassed this dude. Turns out they didn't harass him. They were just kind of all there together, like they're being rowdy teenagers, as you would expect. But that's the worst they did. Were just be rowdy teenagers. They didn't harass anyone. In fact, there were people harassing them, and they were jumping to the defense. Like, they were being called all kinds of like racial slurs and that, and they were actually jumping. The MAGA hat people were defending themselves and others from, just, I guess, verbal attacks, as much as that can be an attack. But I want to go through a few tweets here just to show the amount of people that were, the amount of verified, like, celebrities. These all have verified check marks, you'll see. They're all considered verified and, I suppose, in a certain way, endorsed by Twitter, because if you're not endorsed by Twitter, you don't get a check mark, even though that's not what that's meant for. But yeah, all these people have been calling for violence. I'm not just going to go through tweets of people saying like, oh, I'm angry or whatever, or these people are bad. I'm going to go through tweets showing calls for violence, specifically against these people that turned out to be totally innocent. This is how this stuff happens. Like, this is stuff you can't get wrong, which is why you'll notice that if you're someone that regularly watches my channel, I never say anyone is a bad person or an evil human being unless I am 100% positive. When I go through and critique articles, I don't 10 seconds in say this person is just putting out political propaganda and they're just a useful idiot, or they're someone deliberately misleading the public. I usually give them the benefit of the doubt. I figure, okay, at best they're a bad journalist, and at worst they're malicious. I don't know if it's malicious or not. But I always give people the benefit of the doubt, and I figure even then, usually when I'm critiquing is so bad that even if I give them the benefit of the doubt, it still turns out pretty bad. But I would never call for violence for anyone. There's a reason I do that, because all I have to do is get it wrong once. And even though I have a small subscriber base, all I need is to say something bad about one person that could be some kind of call for violence, and someone actually goes out and does commit violence against a person, or even worse, the person turns out to be innocent. So that's why you got to be careful with this stuff. You got to be careful with what you say when you have a big platform, especially when all the data is not in. And this is what we'll see right here, so I won't waste anyone's time where it's been 3.5 minutes in. But this person is Jeffrey Grubb. I don't know who they are, but they're saying that grinning at a Native American isn't legally violence, but he is smiling about violence. He is saying, my people hurt you and you can't touch me, even while I gloat about it. It is fascism and you should punch fascists. So he called the dude a fascist. He's saying you should punch this dude, and somehow he read all of this out of the person's face just from a short video. I don't know how he got that, how he's so good at reading faces, but he got it wrong. Clearly he wasn't that good. But yeah, call for violence there. Next up, we have a Bakari Sellers. He is a deplorable. Some people can also be punched in the face. Another person calling for violence, calling that this guy be punched. And if you see the @SS or @SShotbot watermark on some of these, that means they later went back and deleted the tweet, and I used this account to find a picture of the deleted tweet. Obviously, they were in damage control. They went back and deleted when they were obviously wrong. So number 3 is Kara Swisher. I am thinking of finding every one of these shitty kids and giving them a very large piece of my mind. That seems like a call for violence for me. Maybe not. Maybe she was just talking about yelling at him, but seems like a possible call for violence. She's talking about finding these kids, at least. I don't think she was actually going to do it, but you never know. Next is the One of Two by Kathy Griffin. This is probably Kathy Griffin's was probably the worst that I've seen. Names, please, and stories from people who can identify them and vouch for their identity. Thank you. So she has gone so far as like to call for the names of the kids, and she's been trying to dox them. There's actually a second one here. P.S. The reply from the school was pathetic and impotent, so the school basically said, we're looking into this, we're sorry if this happened, and we might consider like expelling the kids. That's what the school put out. Name these kids, I want names, shame them. If you think these, I'm not going to say that, wouldn't dox you in a heartbeat, think again. So somehow she knows that these kids would dox anyone that's anti-Trump, anti-Trump. I don't know how she understood that. I don't know how she made that assumption, but by making that assumption, she thought it was legitimate to then dox them. So notice how it's not even like, oh, she's just asking for names and it seems like she's implying that she's going to dox them. Like she says right here, she's going to dox them. And if you don't know what dox means basically to put out all of someone's personal information, their name, their address, phone number, that kind of stuff that isn't publicly available and stuff that can lead to them being tracked down. But yeah, that was the worst one. And the weird thing was the Kathy Griffin ones are still up. Honest question. Have you ever seen a more punchable face than this kid's? From Reza Aslan, who, that guy's... I'm not going to say anything about Reza Aslan. But yeah, have you ever seen a more punchable face? Again, calling for violence. And this last one is by Steve Horwitz, actually, who is... I appreciate some of his work. I think he does some good stuff. He works, I believe, for George Mason University, or at least he was educated from there. But he's a good, libertarian guy. He puts out some good stuff. I think he has some links with Cato. And overall, I don't follow his work very closely because I disagree with a lot of what he says. But this actually surprised me for this is the crazy libertarian side when they say, I am a non-violent person. I have never, to my recollection, punched anyone in my life, much less a young person. But every time I see a picture of that smug, white, MAGA hat-wearing asshole trying to stare down the Native American drummer, I am filled with rage and want to punch that smug right off his face multiple times. You want to know what toxic masculinity is? There's the face of it right there. So... Apparently, yeah, what has been dubbed the assault smirk. Funny enough, because it's gotten so many people, this one smile has gotten so many people riled up, and this is just pure anger right here. Anger over some kid smiling, and it turned out that what happened was it was just kind of like an awkward smile of just trying to stand his ground, because you can see in the videos that the Native American dude just kind of walked right up to him, right in his face, and stood there for a few minutes and then went and walked away. And I don't know what I'm not the best at reading faces. It might have been, it does come across as the smug face of what are you gonna do about it? I'm standing my ground, screw you. Which that doesn't seem like such a bad thing to me. Or some people have called it, which I think is also likely, just the I don't know what to do in this position. I don't want to back away, so I'm just going to stand here awkwardly until this guy gets out of my face. It could have been that as well. But yeah, this guy got so mad, and he did put out an apology. He said a lot of these people, not Kathy Griffin, but a lot of these people put out an apology that basically just said yeah, I'm sorry, I jumped the gun on this, I jumped to conclusions when I shouldn't have, I'm sorry. But the issue is usually don't get a sorry like this. Usually, what happens if the facts don't come out? What happens if this is all just what happens if we didn't get a full 2-hour video? What would have happened if the facts were not so easily available? These people would have called for violence against innocent... Well, they did. They called for violence against innocent people that have done nothing wrong. And it's insane to see this is how bad things happen. This is why there is so much hate in the world. Because these people, you can see how hateful they are. It just kind of jumped right into it. Just kind of jumped calling for these people's names, personal addresses. And I know a lot of people have gone after the mother of the assault smart kid as well. They've gone and, I guess, sent her message. I don't know how they found her address, but or found her her contact information, but they went after her as well, and they're calling for these kids to be expelled, all this crazy stuff, and it's these kids did nothing wrong. Now, it looked bad, sure, I get it looked bad initially, and it looked like they were at fault. But we didn't wait for the data to come out. We relied on one angle of a video, which was a few minutes long, to get the full data. And then they thought they were confident enough to say that these people deserve to be hurt, which is nuts. Like, that's why I'm generally I give pretty much everyone the benefit of the doubt multiple times when it comes to like public figures before I would ever like even remotely consider violence against that person, because looking like I don't have much of a reliable view looking at a public figure through the lens of the media, through the lens of whatever. Now, could I make a separate judgment? Sure, based on all kinds of documented data, or like Hitler, for example, Stalin. I can say pretty confidently that they were both horrible people, because like that stuff is well documented there. The amount of like atrocities that just happened there, and I can say that. But about someone like these kids that we've known about for what the most we knew about them was a 4 or 5 minute video initially. Like, that is not enough to determine that they deserve like violence and they deserve their names and addresses published and all that. Like, that is just going way too far. And I guess that's pretty much all I have to say about that. That just, yeah, life lesson, don't be like these people. I'm not just posting this to say you can laugh at them. I'm just pointing this out here. Don't be like these people. Like, when you see something bad, don't start calling for violence. Don't start calling for their addresses being published in that. No matter who it is or what they did, like, you gotta at least give it what I think is called the 48-hour rule. Give it 48 hours before you say anything about this controversial incident to let the facts come out. Like, it's jumping to a conclusion so fast. It's being so overconfident that yes, these people are so bad that they deserve violence. And I wonder how many of these people are genuinely apologetic too. Like, are these people like, oh crap, I screwed up, I got to apologize, so I don't look that bad? Or are they really, really thinking about it and saying, okay, I just called for violence against a group of innocent high school kids? Like, I wonder how many of them are genuinely realize what they did there. Because especially when you have millions of followers or hundreds of thousands of followers, all you need is one person to go nuts like that. And now, I don't believe that if one person that happened to be a fan of you commits violence, that you're responsible for that. I don't believe that, because you can't control your audience. You can't control your base. So if you say this person's bad, this person's bad, this person's bad over and over, and someone gets hurt because of like a follower that might have seen your tweets, then I mean, I don't really blame them for that. But when they say, yeah, this person is evil, this person's a fascist, this person's terrible, they deserve to be punched, then I kind of have to put the blame on you if someone actually would have done that. And thank God this didn't. I mean, we saw the kids got all kinds of like hate messages and like just hateful rhetoric against them, but at least none of them actually got any violence, as far as I know, against them. And thank God too. Like, imagine if that had happened. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section. These were all the ones I could find. There's probably plenty more. I only picked the ones that were specifically calling for violence and not ones that were just angry. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section. Like the video if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more. And thanks for watching.